some of the messages she delivered about U.S. support of Taiwan seemed quite strong, like saying that the U.S. was like ironclad in supporting democracy in Taiwan and around the world, and saying like the message she was bringing was about, how the U.S. was, supporting Taiwan, etc. Do you think that basically it's more possible for her to say that kind of stuff than for President Biden to say it?
Yes, but again, I think if you look at clearly at you're right. Her language is strong, but I don't think that she crossed the line that everyone's worried about. I mean, she never said that Taiwan was an independent country,
No.
right? So, I mean, she came up to the line, so to speak, but I don't think she crossed it. And I think she also said that she's not contradicting any of the U.S. government policies towards Taiwan, which means that also we don't think that China should use violence to take over Taiwan, and we're against that, and we're strongly against that. But it does, also our policy is that China is a country and Taiwan kind of isn't. So I think she can continue the idea of strategic ambiguity. I think she did a good job of making it appear like she was going farther than that, but I think that she stayed in the box.
Yeah, I think there was an op-ed that they released in the Washington Post, Pelosi and her delegation, and it basically said, we're not violating the US's one China policy. We're doing everything in line with the six insurances, the 1972 thing, and that we, support the status quo, essentially.
Correct.
Yeah.
I do think, though, it's interesting that the delegation included a lot of the senior Democrats from key House um, committees, and I think that that's something that would be interesting to pursue in terms of seeing what exactly those people transmitted to each of the different countries that she visited, because it's mainly been a Pelosi story, and most of the information about these other delegates and what they did and what they talked about has been pretty muted.
Right. I mean, it's also easy to forget that she visited mainly other countries on this trip, including Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, Japan. What do
Yeah.
you think her messages were to the leadership of those countries?
So I didn't follow a lot of her other trips because I was mostly focused on whether or not she was going to be coming,
I mean,
and sort
same
of
boat for the rest of the world, so it's easy to.
right, right. But I do know, and you probably read this too, that the South Korean president chose not to meet her and chose to go on vacation. And he is newly elected. He's supposed to be right of center. Um, And he's also mentioned talk that if North Korea launches more missiles or detonates another nuclear weapon, that he might ask for more U.S. aid, another THAAD battery, for example, to detect missiles. And I think he mentioned that he might ask for the U.S. to deploy nuclear weapons either near or in his country. I mean, those are strong statements, but not meeting Pelosi, I think, was perceived by the South Korean population as being weak to China, and I think his rating dropped like 30%, which is
Yeah, but
huge.
he is very pro work-life balance.
Yeah, but so my argument to you would be, so if President Biden showed up to South Korea, do you think that he would change his vacation time? I think so. If President Harris, Vice, see, I was a Freudian slip. If Vice President Harris had showed up, probably he would also take delay his vacation. So number three, I think that's also pretty credible that he should have made the effort, and I think the Korean people think so too.
I'm curious how Pelosi's trip was perceived in Taiwan, since you're there right now. because
Yes.
there was a lot of hype in Western media, then like just like a lot of this kind of nail biting coverage. Was it the same way in Taiwan, or how was it seen?
No, it was just another day in Taiwan. People were very calm. You know, if I had seen a shirt that said, uh, uh, you know, been there, what's the expression? Been there, seen there. What's the
Been there,
uh,
done that.
yeah, been there, done that T-shirt. That's what they. That's the sense I got out of Taiwanese people. You know, they've seen this all before. They're used to all the saber rattling that China does against Taiwan, and the government here has been very accepting and low key and not hyping the people up, except that they kind of shown that the military here, the Taiwanese military, is ready if something were to happen. And so I think that honestly, vast majority of Taiwanese people were not doing anything different than they did a week before. And I do know that there are some foreigners here who were rattled and were concerned because they've never been in a situation like this. But the Taiwanese people were steady, going about their business. They didn't change their lifestyle because of Pelosi's visit. Although it was like having a rock star here, they did watch the news and they watched what was going on. There were a few people protesting in front of the de facto U.S. embassy here, mostly pro-communist type people, and so the press took pictures of them and made it sound like they were all over the place, but there were just like a dozen of them standing in front of the AIT area and screaming and yelling, and that's it. So that's par for the course for a democracy, right? You have people demonstrating against whatever's going on, and it shows that democracy is alive and well in Taiwan.
So, do you think that most people were generally supportive of Pelosi's visit? I'm asking because there was some analysis by some Western China experts about how like this is bad for Taiwan for Pelosi to go.
No, I think again, I went to dinner before this interview, and half the people there were Taiwanese, and I asked them that question. I said, well, what is your thoughts about her visit? Should she have come and all this? And all of them said, no, we welcome all visitors. It's great. Especially American senior politicians, we like to know that they care about us, and by coming here, it shows that they care about us. And most Taiwanese, I've talked to some retired senior government officials, and they say that their perception is that Congress is very supportive of Taiwan, and the Biden administration is not as supportive. And so when when people from Congress and senators from the Senate come here, it's very visible that they're coming and they're continuously. Whereas the senior officials from the Biden administration are really not coming here. So there is a perception that the Congress is very supportive of Taiwan, and the people like that.
It's interesting because you're one of the only people to ever ask the Taiwanese people what they think about this.
Well, I think it's important, and I think it's the same thing applies to their defense needs. We got so many pundits in the United States and former defense officials telling Taiwan, "Oh, you need this weapon. You don't need that weapon." I have a strong background in the Middle East, and Israelis know what they need to defend themselves, and Taiwanese know what they need to defend themselves. There are 24 million people here, and there's enough of smart ones to know what they need. Then there's only 9 million Israelis. So, by process of elimination, I assume that the Taiwanese know what they want, and they express themselves. And the trend is that the Taiwanese people, especially the youth, are more and more either status quo or more independence. Whereas the older generations were not so pro independence or status quo, and so over time, more and more of the population is becoming status quo or independence. I think it's like if you take those two together, It's like 80%, which is a lot. Taiwanese people, know they're in a tight situation, but they also know that they have strengths. One of their strengths is democracy. I mean, the CCP is scared out of their mind about the disease of democracy. So there are tools that Taiwan has to push back on the CCP.